Red Bull is done. And Lewis Hamilton, he's just getting started. You think they're uncatchable? That's what they said about the Patriots dynasty, or even the Golden State Warriors. But what just went down in Austria, straight out of will have every single championship contender looking over their shoulder. Ferrari just dropped an upgrade package that didn't just turn heads, it damn near snapped necks. And suddenly, that seemingly insurmountable lead, well, it might just be the most fragile thing on the grid. This wasn't just a tweak, it was an ultimatum. Ferrari rolled into the Red Bull ring armed with what insiders are calling their most aggressive update of the season. A ground-up overhaul including a radically resculpted floor, refined side pod inlets, and a completely revised rear wing, a mission to inject a massive dose of downforce and significantly enhance cornering stability, precisely what this high-speed elevation-changing circuit demands. And straight out of the garage during free practice, the Scuderia didn't just show up. They laid down a marker. The timesheets weren't subtle. Ferrari, which had been adrift in a sea of mediocrity just weeks ago, suddenly found itself breathing down the necks of both Red Bull and McLaren. The gap, once a chasm, had become a whisper. Rival teams, from Christian Horner to Toto Wolff, were reportedly stunned, caught off guard by the sheer pace and consistency Ferrari unleashed from the get-go. This wasn't some incremental gain. This was a statement, a declaration that the once assured championship narrative Red Bull dominating, everyone else fighting for scraps was about to be detonated. The tension in the paddock was palpable, thick enough to cut with a tire warmer. What was supposed to be a stroll in the park for Max Verstappen and his dominant machinery was now staring down the barrel of a full-blown dogfight. Suddenly, the entire field was on notice. But amidst this sudden seismic shift, where does that leave the man many had already mentally relegated to motorsport history's archives? Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, who, for what feels like an eternity, has been wrestling a Mercedes that, frankly, looks more like a stubborn mule than a thoroughbred racing machine. The critics, oh, how they piled on. Past his prime, they chirped. Should have retired. Another legend fading into obscurity. They said the same thing in 2008 when he clawed his way to his first title in dramatic fashion. They echoed it in 2014 when the new hybrid era began, and again, after the heartbreak of 2021, yet time and again, when the narrative turned against him, when the odds seemed impossible, Lewis Hamilton found a way to rewrite the script. He's the guy who thrives in chaos, who elevates his game when the stakes are highest and the pressure is a physical weight. Now, with Ferrari blowing the championship wide open and Red Bull suddenly looking vulnerable, perhaps for the first time in 2 years, the landscape has changed. And in a tighter field, with unexpected variables in play, the underdog suddenly has teeth. This isn't just about Ferrari anymore. It's about what an unpredictable field means for a driver who has built an entire career on defying expectations. So, while the paddock scrambles to understand Ferrari's seismic shift and Red Bull recalculates their championship odds, let's talk about the guy who routinely gets dismissed, yet somehow, always remains relevant. Lewis Hamilton. He isn't out there tweeting passive-aggressive emojis or throwing shade in press conferences. He's just working, quietly, incrementally. While others are busy grandstanding, Lewis is grinding, often pulling out performances from that recalcitrant Mercedes chassis that no other driver on the grid, save perhaps a select few, could even dream of. If Max Verstappen had to pilot that current Mercedes, let's be real, he'd probably retire halfway through FP2, citing philosophical differences with the steering wheel. Max, God bless him, is a generational talent, but he's never had to drag a donkey to the Kentucky Derby and still managed to snag a top 5 finish. Lewis has lived that reality for the past 2 seasons. They say Lewis is fading, right? That his best days are behind him. Well, I've seen LeBron James drop 40 points in a playoff game at 38, defying father time and all common sense. I've watched Tom Brady still slinging touchdowns in the Super Bowl at 43. Legends don't fade. They evolve, they adapt, and they wait for their moment. Hamilton isn't just a driver. He's a championship point guard, calmly orchestrating the game. Even when his teammates are missing open shots, he's the veteran quarterback who elevates the entire offense, despite a patchwork offensive line. The pressure Ferrari just put on Red Bull, that's not a problem for Lewis. It's an opportunity. It's the chaos he thrives in, the kind of messy, unpredictable scenario where genuine talent, not just dominant machinery, shines brightest. This unexpected shakeup, this sudden jolt to the seemingly unbreakable Red Bull juggernaut, shifts the entire dynamic. This isn't just Ferrari finding pace, it's Ferrari putting the fear of God into a team that has coasted on their dominance. You can almost hear the subtle cracks forming in the Red Bull garage, the strategic certainty replaced by frantic recalibration. This wasn't strategy from Ferrari. This was a gauntlet thrown, demanding an answer. And for Hamilton, who has spent years in the wilderness, this is the opening he's been waiting for. He doesn't need to be handed the fastest car on the grid. He just needs a sniff of opportunity, a moment of vulnerability in the pack, and the kind of high-stakes, high-pressure environment that makes lesser drivers wilt, while others, perhaps even those in his own garage, might find this newfound chaos destabilizing. Hamilton sees a fertile breeding ground. He's seen it all before, the unexpected twists, the sudden shifts in momentum, and unlike some of the younger, perhaps less battle-hardened talents, Hamilton possesses that rare ability to elevate his performance precisely when the pressure gauge is pushed into the red. You watch certain moments unfold and you see the difference. The calm under fire, the precision when everything is on the line. It's the kind of resilience forged not just from wins, but from defeats, from the kind of gut punches that would send others spiraling. This isn't just a race. It's a chess match, and Hamilton just got a crucial piece back on the board. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Because Hamilton isn't just racing the grid. He's racing history itself, chasing a record 8th world title. And right now, the universe just handed him a wild card. The next few races aren't just about points. They're about legacy, about defying expectations one more time, and reminding everyone why he's considered one of the greatest to ever sit in a cockpit. What do you think? Has Red Bull finally shown a crack in their armor? Is 2026 already shaping up to be Hamilton's ultimate revenge tour? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for more unfiltered F1 analysis. And remember, in Formula One, the only constant is change, and champions thrive in chaos.